I might have a fabric shopping addiction. Or I might have taken advantage of the amazing discounts on luxury fabrics in the store closing forever sale at High Fashion Fabrics. Today I'm sharing my shopping strategy, the fabrics and trims that I bought, and how much I saved. So keep watching. Hi, I'm Tony, and this is So Lounge. Now, if you're not from Houston or at the very least Texas, you probably haven't heard of High Fashion Fabrics, but it was the preeminent fabric store in town for the last 42 years. And we're talking everybody who's everybody shopped here. The Houston Grand Opera, the Houston Ballet bought fabrics for their costumes and props. Um, Beauty queens were dressed in gowns made by fabric from High Fashion Fabrics, and local designers shop there. Me personally, I started shopping at High Fashion when I lived in Austin and was studying textile and apparel design. I would drive in specifically to buy fabric for my projects because I'd always be able to find something that wasn't available anywhere else and was completely unique and original. So it was a very sad day when I found out from my friend Lily that High Fashion Fabrics was closing. She showed me an article in the Houston Chronicle, and we both kind of quietly cried together. So High Fashion Fabrics closed at the end of May, and over the course of 5 trips, I purchased what is on the table and here behind me, and that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, my shopping strategy was pretty intense because I decided that I wasn't going to go crazy and buy things that I would be able to buy at Joann's or at some of the smaller local shops that have smaller inventories but carry a lot of cotton and knits and that sort of regular day-to-day kind of wear fabrics. I decided I was going to focus on high-end fabrics, specifically silks and wools that were not going to be available once High Fashion Fabric closed. Before we get started, I need to clean up this pile of mess and get it organized so we'll be able to talk about the various fabrics. Over the years, I have looked at the wool fabrics at High Fashion Fabrics, but they were usually cost prohibitive for the projects I was working on at the time. Now, this store closing forever sale seemed like the perfect time to stock up on some beautiful wools, and they were still really expensive. I found a gorgeous black twill. It was cashmere and wool. It was $199 a yard, which even at 50% off, still $100 a yard is a lot of money. And for something that I don't really have a plan for, I didn't want that much money just sitting in my stash waiting. And $100 is a lot of money to spend on other fabric that was less expensive. But I did find this gorgeous Italian suiting. This is Mirage Italian Super 130 wool. I believe the number 130 refers to the fineness of the yarns used to weave this fabric. If you look at these, they are very, very thin. They are very smooth. This is not a scratchy, itchy wool. It is just beautiful. It has a lovely drape. The cool thing was that once we rolled it off the bolt, they had these cute little labels inside, and they say Fratelli Italia del Delfino, Super 130s made in Italy since 1903. So that was kind of cool that I got these because I don't think anybody knew they were inside the fabric bolt, but that's where they were, and lucky for me. You can see it's just basically a basket weave. It's a very, very basic weave, but because of the way the yarns are woven, and you can see how that one is like a white and pink yarn, and then the other one is kind of a plum color. It gives this gorgeous color overall, but then it has a really interesting surface pattern. At a distance, the yarns kind of blend together and it creates this rose color, but as you can see close up, it does have this really beautiful texture to the fabric, which means it's going to be an absolutely beautiful suit. Now, I bought this when I went on a trip to High Fashion with Grandma and Anna, and Grandma was like, this is a lovely suit fabric. Not only do you have to buy it, but you need to buy lining to go with it. So I bought this beautiful wine-colored Habité silk. This is lining. It is a beautiful, beautiful lightweight silk. You can see how sheer it is. And it's got like a great hand. I don't know if you've looked at polyester linings at Joann's, but they're very expensive. For full price, this was only $9.99 a yard, which was a total bargain. And I got 2¼ yards for $11.24. So that is a very good price. I bought what was left on the bolt, so I did get that 50% off discount. But I mean, you can just see how absolutely gorgeous this lining is. And it'll go well with this suit once it's all put together. It may not look like it under these lighting conditions, but it does look really pretty together. Plus, that was the closest lining I could find to go with this fabric. The next wool that I got is this beautiful heathered gray wool crepe. You can see it's a little bit sheer as far as wool goes. It's a crepe weave, so it's a little bit lighter than a worsted wool, for example. This is a great suiting fabric. This would be considered like summer suiting, which means I can wear it here in Texas without smothering. So because this is crepe, it has a little bit more of a pebbled texture to it, which makes it a tiny, tiny bit scratchy since it is wool. But I have plenty of linings in a variety of colors. Let's face it, they're all purple, to go along with this. And I know I'm going to be able to make a beautiful suit. Now, I got 2 yards of this. The original price was $22.99 a yard. And because this is one of the fabrics I bought right before the store closed, it was 75% off if you bought the whole bolt. And so I got this for $28 for 2 yards, which is a total bargain. This other fabric, also a total bargain. This is a Scabal, I think that's the brand name, silk and wool suiting fabric as well. This is just a plain weave. It has this window pane kind of plaid in there as well. And it is divine. I mean, this is super lightweight. It feels great. The hand is beautiful. I mean, look at this. I mean, you can kind of see me through it a little bit. It's a very lightweight, beautiful silk and wool suiting. This will be another great addition to my work wardrobe. I've never made suits because I've never found the fabrics to do it. And now that I have some, I'm kind of excited about doing that, and we'll see how that goes. So this was the total bargain because originally this was $55.99 a yard. Look at my cheat sheet. I got 2 yards for $28. So that was definitely one of the bargains. When thinking about suits, I remember that I had some patterns. They are vintage retro reprints. This is a 1940s suit. This is Simplicity 4044. I don't know if this is still in print or not, but I've had it for a while. I like the style, and I think it would work well in either of these fabrics. And then we also have this Simplicity 1960s style suit, which I always like a little boxy jacket with a pencil skirt. I think that's really classic. Obviously, I'd style it a little more modern. This is Simplicity 2154. Also, have had this for a while. I've been thinking about making suits, but I haven't had the right fabric until now. So we'll see if these show up in later into the winter of 24-25 and if these get made, but I think it's a high probability. Now, the last fabric I got is what is this? Wool and cashmere, but it's a knit. This is the only knit I bought at High Fashion because I wanted something that was really spectacular, and this fit the bill. So you can see how gorgeous the drape is on this. It is so soft. I think it's the cashmere that's making that happen, but the drape of the knit is beautiful too. It has a nice stretch. It's a 4-way stretch knit, and it's got like an interesting kind of design based on the way it's woven. It kind of has like a darker kind of line through it. This was originally $19.99 a yard, and I got 4 yards for $19.99. So I feel like I basically stole this fabric. Even though I didn't, I paid for it, but it was so cheap that I couldn't pass it up. And deviating from most of my color palette, which is usually pinks and purples, I do look really good in this blue, and I love this color, even though I don't wear it very often. And I thought it would make a great kind of sweater type maxi dress. It's not heavy sweater, but it is a nice knit. And I have a lot of knit patterns that I think would work very, very well with this color. Another category of fabrics that I bought were some viscose linen fabrics. So I got this purple one, which I've previously shown you in my shopping with friends video, but I also got this gorgeous Italian linen in this hot pink color. This is pink rayon linen, and it was originally $18.99 a yard. I got this for $16.62 for a yard and 3/4. It is a beautiful linen. It looks like somebody cut it kind of wonky at one end, but we'll make do with that. I think that they took that into account, and that's why it's less than 2 yards. But this is another beautiful hand. The thing about rayon linen is that it's not as stiff as flax linen, which is the traditional fiber used for making linen. So it's a little bit softer. It's going to have better recovery than regular linen made out of flax, which, as you know, when you wear it, like the knees kind of bend out, or you sit down in it too long, you kind of have like it's rump sprung, as grandma likes to say. So I did get this in pink. I also got it in a gorgeous green. Once again, this is not usually one of my colors that I wear a lot of, but I do look good in this green color. And this was such a beautiful fabric. This one was a little bit more expensive. This one was originally $22.99 a yard, and I got 2.5 yards for $28.74. So still a really good deal. This was during the 50% off if you bought the bolt sale. And you can just see how gorgeous it is. I mean, it's really, really beautiful weight. It's a nice kind of medium weight linen. And like I said, because it's rayon, that's kind of a rarity, because most of the linen you find is made out of flax, or it's a cotton flax blend, and it has a much stiffer quality than this stuff. Now, last but not least is this really beautiful, I don't know what weave this is. It kind of feels like it might be a linen weave, but it doesn't say on the bolt, and I just do not remember. This is rayon and silk. So it has a slight shine to it, which you may or may not be able to see at this point, but it has a gorgeous hand. The more I look at this, the more I think it probably is a linen weave, because that's just kind of what it looks like. But it is gorgeous. It is black. I do occasionally sew with black. I think that this will make a great dress. I have enough for it. I don't know what kind of dress yet, but I think it would be a great little black dress of some sort. And it's a super lightweight and breathable fabric, since it is rayon and silk. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And I'm super happy with these 4 bolts of fabric, because you can't get this regularly. And they were all a very, very good price. So, it's some more things that could go into the stash. But moving on to the last category of fabrics, silk. I love silk. I've always loved silk. I just think it's a great fabric. It has breathability. It has different properties depending on what type of silk fabric you buy. And I don't know, I just always have thought of it as being luxurious. For thousands of years, China had the market on lockdown, and nobody else had any silk. Silkworms are very temperamental, and people tried smuggling them out of China, and they always died. But silk is one of those fabrics that, I don't know, I've just always absolutely loved it ever since I've been a little girl. So 2 fabrics that I bought. This crepe de chine, this was featured in the shopping with my friends video. Also this silk dupioni, which was the plaid. So I'm not going to go into them in a whole lot of detail. These were both 25% off because I did not buy the bolt. They had a lot of yardage on them, and I didn't need that much at the time. So 3 yards of the silk dupioni came out to $49.48, and 3.5 yards of the crepe de chine came out to $78.72. So not quite as great of deals, but I did love these fabrics, and so they had to come home with me. One of the most luxurious fabrics ever is silk charmeuse, and this is what it looks like. It looks like liquid. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, initially, I bought this to line my wedding dress, because originally I was just going to be using some white raw silk to make a basic dress, like just a basic shift dress with some pretty sleeves. And then I found the purple dress in the window and decided I was going to make that. And so I was already bought this gorgeous silk charmeuse, and decided that it probably would work really well for some lingerie. And by lingerie, I mean like a nightgown and a robe, nothing more risque than that because that's too hard to sew. Let's put it that way. But the thing about silk charmeuse that I really like is it's all beautiful and shiny and slick on one side, but the back side is matte. So this is going to be a lot easier to sew than the slippery side, which means that when you put the seams together, you're going to be sewing from the matte side, and hopefully those slick sides rubbing against each other doesn't create too much trouble. I usually don't sew with this kind of fabric because it's difficult. And as you know, I do not like sewing with difficult fabrics. But this was just so beautiful and it's such a lovely color. I just had to get it. So this was, I did buy the end of the bolt. This is peach silk charmeuse. It is 54 inches wide. I got 4.5 yards because that's what was left on the bolt. And originally it was $36.99 a yard. I got 4.5 yards for $83.23. And I'm going to make something with this. I actually do have a pattern in mind. It is a Vogue pattern that is currently in print. It is Vogue 1962. It is like a camisole top, pajama pants, a short robe, and then they also have like the slip style nightgown. So my plan is to make the slip style nightgown with the robe. And when I went back to high fashion on one of the other trips, I found some gorgeous lace. This is French lace. This one is a little bit wider and it is a little bit lighter, but it looks really pretty with this silk charmeuse. And it was just so dainty and feminine. I had to buy it. I don't usually buy trims. I don't really sew with them, and especially lace, but it was just so gorgeous. And I was like, oh, that's going to be so beautiful. I actually did take this silk back up there so I could look at it together once I realized this was not going to be the lining of my dress and it needed to become something else. So I bought this to go with it. The other lace that I bought was, this one is a little bit darker and this one's a little bit narrower. Let me show you what that looks like. So it looks a little bit peachier, for lack of a better word, on top of the charmeuse than the other one. It gives it kind of like a totally different vibe. So this is vintage lace trim from France. I got 6.5 yards. Originally, it was $7.99 a yard, and I got it for $25.97. So I thought that was a pretty good deal for French lace. And then the other one was originally $9.99 a yard. I got almost 7 yards for $32. So also a good deal. And now I will be able to use my charmeuse with this pattern and with one of these. I don't need both of them because I don't think they really go great together, but I think I could use one of them and make this pattern happen, and hopefully maybe in time for the honeymoon. We'll see. Up next, but still sticking with silk, is this gorgeous raw silk. Now, you may be asking, why is it raw? They actually have a little sticker on it that tells you which side is the right side because it's hard to tell. The right side seems to be a little bit more slubby than the other side. So this is raw silk. Raw silk is considered raw because they do not remove the sericin. I think I'm saying that right. S-E-R-I-C-I-N. Sericin. That sounds right. Which is the substance that the caterpillars, that the silkworms use to create their cocoons and make them hard. So they don't remove that from the silk, so you don't get this lustrous, smooth fiber. You still have a little bit of texture to it, which creates this rough fabric, which is still so gorgeous and beautiful, and it's still soft, but it definitely has a texture to it. This will probably be, I don't know what this will be. I have 2 yards of this. The original price was $42.99 a yard, and I got both yards for $42.99 since I bought it while it was 50% off. But it's not a whole lot. I can probably make a really pretty dress, or maybe a very, very basic dress with a wrap. It's going to be limited because it's not a whole lot of silk. I usually buy more fabric than 2 yards, but with this, it was so gorgeous. You can see how beautiful it is. I just had to get it. The other red raw silk, this is actually looks hot pink, but they called it red. So this is another raw silk that I purchased. This kind of looks like it has kind of a tweed kind of texture to it. It's probably just a regular plain weave, but it's very pretty. This was also featured in the Shopping with My Friends at High Fashion video. This is 4 yards, originally priced at $39.99 a yard, and I got it for $78.98. So also a really good deal. This one I've got a lot of, so this will probably be a suit. I'm thinking maybe kind of like an Elle Woods style suit from Legally Blonde, just because that would be kind of fun. And, you know, Fridays are a tiny bit more casual at Municipal Court, and this would be super cute as a suit. Next, we're moving on to the Dupioni silks. Now, Dupioni silk, as I get this unwrapped, is kind of cool because it's when two silkworms snuggle up together and make a cocoon together, and it's basically a double slub yarn. So it's just the way that the filament comes out of the silkworms as they make the cocoon, they intertwine, and then that's how you get this double twined silk. This is what it looks like. This is a grape silk Dupioni. I got a yard and a half of that. Once again, not a usual yardage, but this would make a gorgeous jacket, maybe like kind of like a knee-length kind of jacket. It's just absolutely exquisite. You can see it kind of has this iridescence to it, which makes it gorgeous. This was originally $14.99 a yard, and because I bought the end of the bolt, the total came to $9.37. So you can see why I did go a little bit crazy with the silks, because that is a bargain price. You can't buy polyester fake Dupioni at Joann's for $9.37 a yard. So I had to get it. I bought another Dupioni. It is this kind of pinkier color. That one's kind of like a darker pink. This is kind of like a brighter pink, which you can see. Also Dupioni, this one is a slightly thinner fabric. Maybe the silkworms weren't snuggled up quite as tight, but it is also Dupioni. This one was $14.99 a yard originally. I got almost 2 yards, a yard and 3/4 for $13.12. So also wonderful bargain. You know, even if this just becomes a pair of like cool summer pants, they're going to be gorgeous and, you know, dress up any kind of an outfit fairly easily. So that's the other thing I liked. I think that's enough to make a dress. It is very wide. This is 54 inches wide, maybe 40 inches wide. So a little bit wider. And then I also got Shantong silk, which is a heavier slub in the yarn. This is the same kind of fabric that I am using for my wedding dress. This is an eggplant silk Shantong. It is 54 inches wide, and I got 4.63 yards. They got very specific about this one. I really, really liked it. Originally, it was $22.99 a yard. This total came to $53.22. The reason I got this was because I have always wanted one of these really full skirts that you kind of wear with like a crisp white top. I didn't find any white silk, so I can't make that out of silk. But I think the skirt would be absolutely gorgeous. I've always liked that look. Carolina Herrera, I think, is the one who kind of started that, because I remember seeing pictures of her with this big full skirt with a very crisp white blouse. And I just think it looks very feminine and pretty, and I've never done it. But with this Vogue, this is 2007. This is currently in print. I just got this a few months ago. I think it could happen. I think I can make it work, and I think it'd be really, really beautiful. I mean, not that I know where I'm going to wear it, but, you know, future events will call for a ball gown skirt in my life. Wrapping up with the rest of the silks, I bought a bunch of linings. These are black silk habite, and just like the wine colored one, I got one in black because you can see how sheer it is here. I got one in black because you can't go wrong with black lining. That works with everything. I got, the black one was $14.99 a yard. It had 2 yards left on the bolt, so I got that for $14.99. This is purple, and this is probably the lining I'm going to use for my wedding dress, and I did buy it before I bought the dress. So once I got my fabric home, I was like, oh, I think that lining would work, and it will work. So that's the good news because that dress is lined. This was originally $9.99 a yard. Let me take off this so you can see how beautiful it is. The black wasn't quite as exciting. So you can see how it's like really sheer. It's just beautiful and soft. It's gorgeous. $9.99 a yard. I got 6.63 yards, also very specific, and it was $33 for that. Then I also got some more Habité silk. This one, I just bought the rest of the bolt because, hey, it's purple. I like purple. Purple would look great as lining for a gray or a black suit. So since I got some wools, we want to get them lined. This one was $19.99 a yard, and I bought 10 yards, and it came out to $49.98. So also a good deal. This is also very, very wide. So that's something to keep and use for various linings as, they present themselves. And last but not least, this is lavender China silk. So this is a slightly different weave than the Habité, but still very light and pretty. This one was also $9.99 a yard. I just bought the rest of it, 12 yards for $29.97. So I did spend a lot of money in linings. Yes, it is all purple, but that is my favorite color. And I think that having like a pop of purple inside of a jacket or like a skirt would just make me happy. And, I think it always adds something a little bit interesting when you can do fun things with linings and clothes. And, that's one of the benefits of sewing for yourself is you can do whatever you want. So these are the fabrics. We still have a few more trims that I want to share with you. Now, I've shown you some of the trims with the fabrics that I bought to go with them. And one of the ones, this one was definitely one of the more expensive ones, but I just couldn't quite resist. This is black French lace. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just loved it. And it was $15.99 a yard. I only got 6 yards. There was like 15 yards on it, and I was like, oh, I can't spend that much money. So this was one of the more expensive things that I purchased. This was, and you probably can't see it because I'm wearing black, so I'll hold it up like this. This was $72 for 6 yards of this lace, and you may be thinking like, Tony, that is not going to look good with that peach charmeuse. And you know what? It does not look good with the peach charmeuse, but it looks really good with this purple charmeuse. Now, the reason this purple charmeuse has not made an appearance is because I did not buy this fabric. Jen bought this fabric for me because I was going back and forth because I didn't want to buy the whole bolt because it was too much fabric on there. And I also did not want to pay the price of it for 25% off because it was pricey. And so Jen said she was going to buy it and then told me that I had to make my honeymoon lingerie out of it. So I would be using the same pattern, doing the lace a little bit different, but you can see how pretty these look together. That looks really good. I mean, that's really kind of saucy, So that's why I bought this lace, because Jen bought me this fabric, and we buy fabric for each other. It's kind of one of the benefits of having a friend who loves fabric as much as you do. But that was super sweet, and I was super happy to have that. And so I said I was going to spend the money on the lace, because really, if you go buy something made out of silk charmeuse with this gorgeous French lace, it would be way more than the cost of the fabric and the lace. And so that was my justification for this is, well, now I don't have to go shopping. I just have to go sewing. Moving on, this was a little bit pricey too, but not horrible, is this really fun embroidered kind of Western, it kind of looks maybe Mexican, like it looks like Mexican tile, like the beautiful saltillo tile, not saltillo, talavera tile. It just reminded me of that. It reminded me of the embroidered tops that you can buy down in Mexico or in the market in San Antonio. And, when you see this on clothes, especially like Western wear, like denim dresses and stuff, it's really expensive clothing, but it's really hard to find this. And when I found it at High Fashion, I was like, I'm buying the rest of this because I don't know when I'm going to use it, but I do know that I am going to be making some Western boho cowgirl type clothing, and this would go great with that. And it was originally $12.99 a yard. I did buy the entire bolt of it, so it was 50% off, but the total, it's 7.75 yards, so 7.75 yards of this, and that came to $50.34, which is kind of a lot for this, but it was one of those things that if I didn't buy it, it was going to disappear. This was never going to make it to the 75% off stage in the store, you know, the last week before they closed, because somebody was going to snatch this up, and it was me. This is another trim I bought. This is just fun. I just thought this was really cute. It is like stretchy elastic, and maybe one day I'll want to make like some cute panties, and this would be super cute on the top around the band. I know that's like super far-fetched, and I don't really want to make underwear, but maybe one day. This was super cheap. The original price of this was $1.99. So this is not super expensive French anything. It is just mass produced. But I like that it was purple. Surprise. And I got 8.5 yards for $8.46. So you know that was going to have to come home with me. These two laces I'd been looking at, okay? These were originally, this is Valenciennes lace. I don't know if I'm saying that right, so if I'm not saying it right, don't correct me in the comments. This is Valenciennes lace. It's really beautiful and like really, really fine. I don't know what I do with this, but it's, once again, purple, so I liked it. I'd been looking at this since my first trip to high fashion, but there was a lot more on this little roll, and I was like, that's a lot, and it's not that cheap. So I waited, and the very last week before they closed, I went back. So originally this lace was $4.99 a yard. I got 3.13 yards for $3.90. Isn't it so pretty? It's so pretty. So I was super excited about that because I was like, oh, I've been watching that for so long. And I also got the companion piece that's a little bit wider. So this one, because it was wider, was more money. This was $7.99 a yard originally. I got 2 yards for $4.99. So I feel like I'm winning on that. Once again, don't know what I do with either of these things. When I showed this to Anna, she was like, what are you going to do with all that lace? I'm like, I don't know. But one day, the project will present itself, and I will be ready with my Valenciennes lace. Now, these last two items are not for me. I did buy them, but they're not for me. These are both for Jen. And the only reason I'm including them in this video is because she's coming over at the end of the week, and I'm going to give them to her, and this video will not come out until Sunday. And so then it won't, when she watches it, she'll already have them. So this is Battenberg lace. If you've ever wondered what Battenberg lace looks like, this is what it looks like. It's not what it looked like in my head, but this is Battenberg lace. There was a ton of this at High Fashion. Jen bought a few yards of it. The original price was $8.99 a yard. I got it for 75% off because I bought it the week the store closed, and I got 10 yards for $22.48. So that is a total bargain on that. So that's for her. And the other thing that I got for Jen that I was so excited about was this gorgeous silk georgette. And if you've watched the Shopping with My Friends at High Fashion, she pulled this out and she really liked it, but she didn't want to spend the money on it because it's a $59.99 a yard. And it was still there when I went back the week before the store closed. So at that point, I was like, okay, I can't buy the whole bolt because there was way too much yardage on there. But it was 50% off. So I got 3 yards for $89.99. And you might think that's a lot to spend on a friend, but think about it. She did buy me the silk charmeuse. And it's kind of a late birthday present because I couldn't find something to get her. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's perfect. Look how gorgeous it is. And the good thing is I haven't given it to her yet, so I can show you how beautiful this fabric is up close and in person. If you have any ideas on what I can make with any of these fabrics, or you're like, oh, I know the perfect pattern, let me know. Leave it in the comments below because I would love to hear your suggestions. And I'm always looking for new ideas and thoughts on various fabrics that I have. And since most of these do not have a plan, I welcome your suggestions. And if you want to see me and Jen and Anne fabric shopping at High Fashion and what the store looked like back in mid-April, you totally want to check out this video coming up next. I know you're going to love it. I'll see you over there. Okay, hey Jen, come check this out. Okay, so I got you something. This is a very belated birthday present.
What?
Yes, and you'll know why when you see it. It's a belated birthday present.
Okay.
Was, you know.
Well, now my interest is like peaked. Okay.
Okay. Well, here, let me like fold it over, see if it's
okay.
I could have packed it better, but you know.
I love the bag, right?
I know, right?
Of course. Oh my God! No, you didn't.
I did.
Thank you.
I got you 3 yards.
Love you.
I love you too. You're the best.
Oh my God! This is so great. It's so fun.